What's up? It's Tom. I just live streamed for over an hour and I'm here. They waited until I was done. This has been fun to react to live. AJ Minter, welcome to the Minnesota Twins. Luckily, I have the day off work tomorrow, so let's talk about this. I'm excited. I'm fired up. But the verdict. What's the verdict on this trade? AJ Minter for Billy Amick and Bruin Agbayani. The Mets won this trade. The Mets won this trade. Welcome, Mets fans. By the way, I'm going to talk about these prospects you just got. The Mets won this trade. I'm pretty confident in saying that. AJ Minter is a pending free agent. AJ Minter is a somewhat mid, bullpen arm. This isn't one of the hottest names on the bullpen market. And they got a couple of prospects that have potential. They have a couple guys that could, we could look back and regret trading away, for sure. For a guy who, basically we all wish right now that the Twins would have signed an AJ Minter adjacent reliever in the offseason. And that would, they would have had him for the whole season to this point, and it wouldn't have cost them anything except for money. Polead money. We don't care. This still made sense for the Twins. Even though I think the Mets won this trade, I still think this made sense for the Twins. And ultimately, I think it's very unlikely the Twins will miss the guys they traded. So let's talk about AJ Minter first. 32-year-old left-handed veteran, guy who's been around a while. Some closing experience, little 36 career saves. You got to go back a ways before he was really a closer for any decent amount of time. Debuted at 23 and has 420 career games. He's missed quite a bit of time. He's been injured quite a bit. Not too unusual for the reliever. He has a 2.76 ERA the past 7 seasons. That's 277 innings pitched in that sample. A member of the 2021 World Series champion Braves. Maybe the funnest bullpen of all time to follow through a postseason. They were incredible. That team had like 2.5 starting pitchers throughout the entire postseason and just really leaned on their bullpen, and the bullpen was like damn near perfect through that whole run. 20 career postseason appearances for AJ Minter. So this guy's pitched in a ton of big games, but a pending free agent. That's not always the worst thing, but that really limits his value. And the last one there, happy birthday, Derek Shelton. Got him a last-minute birthday gift. Jeremy Zoll realized, crap, we didn't get him anything. So he said, hey, here's a veteran for the bullpen. This is going to make Derek Shelton's job a lot easier to have a guy like this in the bullpen. So, again, I think the Twins, I would have done this trade. I guess this is kind of the thing I want to talk about before I go to this. AJ Minter, if you saw my trade targets video, he was a guy I did consider. I only threw out, I think, like 5 bullpen names. So it's not like I had this long list of bullpen names that he didn't make. So I was pretty nitpicky. And he was among the guys I considered, but I didn't put him on there for a few things. He sat back in his best period. He sat 96, 97 miles per hour. Had a 4-seam fastball. That was his primary pitch. He's all the way back down to 93 now with that 4-seamer. His cutter is his best pitch by far. It's his primary pitch. It's effective. But can he continue just to live off that? Some relievers can basically be one-pitch guys. Minter still does throw the 4-seamer, but it's just not nearly as effective of a pitch as it used to be. To try to give you some context on the pitch arsenal, pitch modeling stuff, I'll be honest, I'm not the best at this stuff. But I wanted to try to, this is what I was looking at myself. This is why Minter didn't really, there were other guys that I went with Minter over on my targets video because these aren't real impressive for a reliever in particular. 102 stuff plus, 101 location plus, 101 pitching plus. But if you look at Anthony Banda, who was the Twins' top lefty before he got injured, he's going to miss the season. 103 stuff plus, 89 location plus, 92 pitching plus. So, take that for what it's worth. I think easily, we can say AJ Minter is a bullpen upgrade for the Minnesota Twins. Like I said at the bottom there, at the end of the day, beggars can't be choosers, and AJ Minter is a bullpen upgrade. I also like that the Twins are getting out a little bit early, and they probably had to pay more to make this deal today. than they would have if they tried to wait until the deadline. But you are losing 3 more games of this guy. You are also potentially, you can only have so many conversations going at the same time. Maybe that's hard. That's a hard thing to push when the Twins made 73 trades at the deadline last year. But point being, I like that they're getting out in front of things. How about the prospects? Why do I say that the Mets won this trade? Again, this is only 2 months of A.J. Minter. That's the biggest thing. These are my July 1 prospect rankings. So this was pre-draft. I do a re-ranking every month. Billy Amick was my number 30 Twins prospect. That was down from number 18. I've had a really hard time with him because he's having a really weird season. He's really had a really weird pro career. 2024 second round pick, number 60 overall pick. So this is a pretty big investment guy that is being traded. You can separate that now that we're a couple years out. You don't cling to that draft status, but I think it's worth mentioning. Like if you're a Mets fan, you're like, oh, we got a former second round pick. All right, let's go. He leads this Twin system in home runs. I believe he has 23 home runs. Might be behind a couple days on that, but having a very weird year. Billy Amick, a right-handed hitter who is not hitting left-handed pitching. That's weird. Billy Amick, a guy who hits the ball very hard, who has a very low BABIP. That's weird. Offensive upside for Billy Amick is impressive. There's swing and miss. He strikes out a lot. I think his K percentage is around 30%. He does walk, gets on base, so this is a productive hitter. The floor is terrible because he's not going to be an MLB caliber third baseman. I could be a good defensive first baseman. I think he has the tools there. He has the athleticism. He has some size. He's not a good defensive first baseman now, but he also, hasn't really fully committed to that position. I think he could be good there. So it's like there's a narrow path for Billy Amick. I think he's fun. I think he's a fun get if you're a Mets fan. And you're just trading 2 months of Billy Amick, or excuse me, A.J. Minter. It's late. I've been talking baseball a lot. But yeah, I think he's a fun get. And then speaking of fun gets, if you're a Mets fan, Bruin Agbayani, Benny Agbayani's kid. I thought he was an interesting prospect for the Twins to have, a guy they drafted in the 6th round and out of high school. But objectively, how much fun is this? I'm amped up for Mets fans to be able to follow Benny Agbayani's kid. That's so much fun. 2025 6th round picks. This is another guy that was drafted fairly high. He did dip from 34th to 41st on my list. Again, you probably shouldn't be reacting this, and I usually don't react to this much from 1 month to the next. But both these guys are weird. Amick has just been really hard to figure out because this year he's hitting for power. Last year he didn't. Just a curious bat. And then Bruin Agbayani just hasn't played. You see down there, he's only played 15 career pro games. Came out after the draft. They did have him go to Fort Myers late in the year, played a little bit, and he's been injured all year this year. So, kind of a guy that you could see where the Twins, I never think guys like this are going to get traded, but, maybe the Mets, they're like, give us something else. And they're like, well, we would love the Agbayani kid. That would be so much fun. And the Twins obliged, and I understand what they do. So, again, I think if we're looking at value, I think the Mets did excellent. If we're looking at need, I think the Twins did really well. And I think it's unlikely that we're going to look back years from now and be like, oh, man, Billy Amick, that was such a miss. Or to look at, even if Billy Amick becomes something, we're going to look at the Twins roster and say, well, we don't have room for him at first base. We don't have room for him at DH. And I expect this is probably where the Mets are also going to be. When Billy Amick's knocking on the door and the Mets have a $500 million payroll with their gambling money that they just raked in, maybe that's why. Maybe this was backlash. The Mets were facing, if you missed it, they made some kind of a deal to partner with a betting, predictive market type thing. Maybe there was such bad backlash. They're like, what do we do? Get Benny Agbayani's kid. I don't know. Maybe that's what this was. But either way, I could see logic from both sides of this one. Again, it's only 2 months of A.J. Minter, who's a bullpen upgrade for the Twins, but has his warts enough to where not a lot. Not every team is going to be really hot on him. And then again, Amick and Agbayani, fun things about both those guys, exciting things about both those guys, but also, again, the Twins, this is just a bat-rich system. And if you've seen any things I've talked about, my biggest thing that I'm really pushing is trade the bats to get some arms. Even if you have to maybe overpay, maybe give up some bats that are higher than the arms that are being asked for. Be like, no, we'll give you those bats if we can keep our arms. And that's what they did here, so I can't be too bummed out about it. But I think the Mets did really well as well. So anyway, thanks for checking this one out. I said in the live stream we'll talk a bit again soon. I didn't realize how soon. And before I lose my voice, I want to let you know to check out Limestone Pipeline. If you want to know about Twins prospects before they get traded, you'll know all about them if you hang out with us on Limestone Pipeline at Patreon. Thanks for checking this one out. We're going to talk again soon, one way or another.